Sight and Sound, the rumor has been, and I know that Tony Macklin is a big proponent of this, that by the next go-round, what is it? They're 100 of all time. Is that every 10 years or something?
It's every 10 years, and it's in the 2-year usually. So it won't happen until 2022.
Oh, 4 more years.
Yep.
Yeah, I started saying that last 2 Novembers ago. So,
it's been our mantra, let's say. Okay.
The rumor has been that the general feeling is that what is the general feeling that 2001?
It's going to overtake.
Will overtake Vertigo in the number 1 spot. Now, the big news last Sight and Sound list was that Vertigo took over for
Citizen Kane.
What did it do? Citizen Kane.
Yeah.
As the favorite movie of all time, the best critical whatever of all time. So now they're saying 2001. Some part of the contingent believes that Vertigo will be passé by 2022 because of the Me Too movement.
Oh.
I don't quite understand that argument.
I do.
A woman that's easily led, or what is it? Okay.
Well, she's kind of treated as she's obviously treated as an object, almost solely as an object of desire.
Oh, and then you have what
sexual
Hitchcock
desire. Yeah. Well, I don't think he made any moves on Kim Novak, but I don't know. I don't believe any of that shit. I don't. He didn't make any moves on anybody.
I actually believe it.
You do?
But,
I know.
I kind of do too, actually.
Yeah. He is Hitchcock. But I don't think he got any play off that.
No.
I don't believe it. I don't believe that anybody who was working with, Ingrid Bergman and all that, all the most beautiful women in the world, all through the 50s and the 60s and the 40s.
I mean, nobody said he did it to Ingrid Bergman or Grace Kelly. I mean, he knew who to try to do it to.
Yeah. I think he was
just waiting for the newcomers or whatever. But yeah.
Well, I think he has been. I read the Donald Spoto biography on him, and
which
what I got out of that
largely discredited. Hasn't that biography come under major fire?
Well, it may have. I'm not sure, but
it has.
But I mean, I've read other accounts too, and kind of the overall picture I've gotten is that he didn't have much of a sex life with his wife, and that was one of the things that he could kind of look at these actresses and fantasize, and he was able to keep that in check until he wasn't anymore, and he reached the point where he just wasn't able to. Yeah, that's what I get now. Whether it happened or not.
In the old age, it may have happened, but I frankly just don't give a shit. Just not interested. At my level of interest in all that shit is zero.
That's true.
That's fine, but that's different. That's different from denying it. It could have happened to begin with.
Yeah,
it could have happened. Baba do whatever, but I don't care. I just don't.
He apparently showed her his Baba do. I mean, it was.
Yeah. I don't think that happened either. I think he might have tried to kiss her or something like that, but I don't think he showed her his Baba do. Whatever that is. But I just don't. Yeah. He was he was pretty sick at that point. He was on heavy blood pressure medication. He could barely get down the aisle to go and get his fucking AFI Institute thing. So I just don't.
Yeah, man, but that was in the the 70s.
Yeah, that was in 77. Yeah,
you're talking about early 60s is when all this supposedly, for lack of a better term, went down.
He was still 69 years old. he was still 70 years old back then. Because he died at like 82 or something. So, yeah, whatever.
Yeah, but the Me Too movement will care because this is a different time and era we live in, and
I guess so. But
I think stuff like
but they
that
can't do anything to Alfred Hitchcock now, can they?
No, but they can denigrate his work. They can, take it off of its lofty perch, so to speak, with these things that have come to light, because it does make a difference. I mean, we've seen things that have been. But they could
do that with everybody.
And they're trying to.
You might as well do it to Orson Welles too, because he did bad stuff.
I mean, there have been instances in film history where history has been they've really tried hard to erase it. I mean, there's the whole Song of the South thing, of course. That's the most notable thing, but there's a lot of other instances that we could cite.
And now get rid of that racist Gone with the Wind stuff. Anyway,
there's
my whole point of this thing, and I don't believe that you should erase history as a means of healing or whatever. It's
or
much
revenge.
bullshit. But my whole point of this is: do you think 2001 it will be the number one in 2022?
I think it stands a good chance.
It probably will be.
Yeah, sure.
It probably will be.
I could see that happening.
And plus, there's no reports of Stanley Kubrick ever molesting anyone. So
yeah.
That should be good. And Hal certainly wasn't able to molest anyone, so that's perfect.
I don't know. Shelley Duvall might put the kibots on that. You never know.
Oh, yeah, that's true. That was absolute abuse. Actually, I really don't know it was abuse. He could have been tricking her. But yeah. Well, I think that's going to happen. I was expecting it to happen sooner, but I've always just felt a little coolness towards people's love of Vertigo, and even extending that further, even to the critical love of Vertigo. It's like, I don't know. You got 100 movies in front of you. One of them is Vertigo. You got time to watch one of them. Is that the one you're going to pick? I don't think so. That's a tough movie to sit through. That's a tough sit. And
I have a weird relationship with Vertigo because when I was young, in my teens, it was one of these movies that people talked about, and I watched it, and I frankly didn't get it at all. Like, I just don't get it. And so I tried again in my late 20s when they reissued it for I guess it was the 40th anniversary. They did a 35mm brand new restoration. They went back and did the Vista Vision.
In the 90s.
All that, and I saw it at AMC on a huge screen. And again, just didn't connect with it at all. I said, well, I don't know about this. It was about 5 years later, and I caught it when they did a DVD release of it, and it just immediately clicked with me right then and there. And
maybe it works better when you become a desperate old man.
Well,
I think that's what it is.
You have to. The key to that movie is you have to have suffered some loss in your life. I think that's it. You have to, if you have never suffered loss, I was a teenager, young, dumb, naive, whatever, I don't think I'd lived enough to appreciate that. And by the time I was in my mid-30s, my marriage was crumbling. I was faced with the prospect of, I'd lost all of my grandparents, 4 of them in the space of 7 years. And, there was a prospect of my kids being moved 80 miles away from me by my ex-wife. And, there's a lot going on for me. And it just, it connected, it totally connected with me. And not to get into my boring personal stuff, but it just really hit me. And it's been at the top of my list ever since. And my father saw it in a theater in 1958 to go even further. He saw it when it came out, and he said for years, well, I hated it. And I urged him. I said, I plead with you to go back and watch Vertigo again now that you've lived.
And the verdict?
Yes, and he loved it. He loved it. He went back and he said, I get it.
Do you think that further proves your thesis?
I think it does to a certain degree. I think I would never show it to my kids. Let's put it that way. They wouldn't get it. They'd be bored out of their wits.
It's not a young person's movie.
Yeah.
In other words.
Never.
Yeah.
So,
that's interesting. I respect that, and I respect the movie too. There's a lot in it I love, obviously, but it's just not my favorite Hitchcock. And I guess in a way, I agree with you because I find the movie discomforting.
It is.
In that way, I suppose. And,
yeah.
So. And as someone who's not incredibly successful with women, I can kind of empathize with, I guess, the Hitchcock point of view and also the point of view of the Jimmy Stewart character and so forth, trying to recapture the past and recreate it. But I just, it's a movie that really, frankly, just kind of sends me to sleep after a little bit. There's that long sequence where he's following her, and boy, it is knockout. I mean knockout in the sense of knockout drops, not in the sense of Rocky Balboa knocking somebody out.
Tony and I were talking about it like 5 or 6 years ago, and that's the point that we brought up, that it does take some life experience to latch onto the themes of the movie. And I think it could, and it probably is the most deeply felt of Hitchcock's movies. But and I do enjoy the movie. I mean, just the photography alone keeps me engaged.
Yeah, I like the look and listen of it.
But like Dean, I mean, it isn't my favorite, and I am perplexed in some cases what the general consensus is of an artist's best movie.